Hi everyone, and welcome back. To help show the previous section's criteria in action, I will start by setting up a 3-stave system on Manuscript Paper, a digital score, and a DAW. First, let's set it up on Manuscript Paper. This is a large tabloid size, and here is a regular letter size. If you don't have access to a music store with printed manuscript paper, an easy alternative is to go to blanksheetmusic.net and print your own paper for free. Once you have your manuscript paper, start by drawing a line connecting the first 3 staves. Then proceed to connect the next 3, and so on. If your paper does not have a perfect amount of staves, that's okay. Use those extra 1 or 2 staves as a space for comments, other ideas, or whatever you'd like. As you begin to compose, change the clefs as needed. I usually like to start with 2 treble clefs and 1 bass clef. Next, let's set up the 3-stave system on a digital score, my digital score of choice, Sibelius. First, let's start by creating a new file. I like to use the regular piano preset and then add an additional staff on top. The time signature is 4/4 without any metronome markings is fine for now. We can always change that later. And finally, to set up the 3-stave system on a DAW, create a new file. Create 2 or 3 MIDI tracks. You don't necessarily need more than 2 because a DAW is much easier to visualize and keep track of a wide range of notes. So this can be up to you and how you prefer to work in the DAW. For now, I'm going to create 3. Finally, connect your MIDI track with the instrument track of choice. Piano makes the most sense due to its ability to play more than one note at a time, but I like to vary the sound to help distinguish the sound of the 3 staves. A harpsichord or different tone piano makes a big difference. One of the quickest and easiest ways to figure out how something works is not by trial and error, but by reverse engineering. Let's practice reverse engineering a short segment of an orchestral piece to see the best way of organizing ideas that pop up. A beautiful but relatively simple orchestral piece to analyze is Scriabin's Reverie Opus number 24. This piece only has 1 transposing instrument, which makes it easier to transcribe. The full score can be downloaded from imslp.org. Let's look at the opening few bars and then try and dissect some of the more full orchestral parts. I'm going to be reverse engineering it simultaneously on my digital score as well as my DAW. Let's go. Okay, so we're going to be checking out how to do a reverse engineering for a 3-stave system. We're going to be looking at Scriabin's Reverie for orchestra in E major. So let's take a listen to the first few bars. Pretty cool piece, sounds pretty complicated. Let's grab the score here. And then we can see we have 2 flutes, 2 oboes, 2 clarinets in B flat, 2 bassoons, 4 horns, 2 trumpets in C, so we don't have to worry about transposing those. 3 trombones and a tuba, timpani, violin 1, violin 2, viola, cello, and contrabass. So hopefully you guys are able to find this score. If not, you can follow along here. We're going to be trying to reverse engineer. I'm going to start with the first, let's do 4 or 5 bars. So right away, we can hear a melody here in the clarinet. So I think that would be the most prominent thing that we should try to take away from this. So let's go ahead and put that in our 3-stave reduction. And I like putting the melody in the top. So that's the opening 2 bars. What else do we have going on here? We got some chords. So the flutes are playing 2 chords. So let's put those below the clarinet in this line here. And these aren't transposed, so 2 flutes. So let's start with the top voice. And I'm using a combination of keyboard input notes as well as my actual computer keyboard. So that's an E flat. So we have 2 different voices. Let's put in the second voice. So to do that on Sibelius, you go Alt number 2 to grab the second voice, or just go down here and click 2. A sharp, A natural. Okay, great. What else do we got going on here? Nothing. And then, oh, we got tons of notes here. But if you take a closer look, you can see that they're actually playing the same notes. So they're just playing a chord. And what chord are they playing? E and C. Where do we see that before? Oh, E, C. So they're just rocking back and forth on those. E flat, C, same thing, rocking. D, C, rocking. So that's a really interesting way to orchestrate this, to provide some sort of movement with keeping the chords more or less pretty static. D sharp, B, A sharp, D sharp, and B and A, B and A. And I think that, oh, there is a clarinet note here that's popping out. So E sharp, so we'll add that to this chord here. Just throw that up, and there's our D sharp. So if we're going to play this, it would be... So that's it. So despite it looking fairly complicated, there's really only this much going on. Okay, let's try to do the next two bars. Okay, so we got quite a few more notes here, but it's a reduction, so they're going to get rid of a lot of the empty staves. So here's our indicator. This is still the flute line. Let's do the melody still. So we're going to start with here. Okay, so let's put that line in. B flat is an A sharp. So there's our melody. And let's fill in some of the harmony. So we can start in the flutes again, because those are fairly easy to see the notes. We'll start with the top voice. We got a B. And the B is going to be a dotted quarter. B flat, A. A is the full, and then the dotted half note on the A sharp. And then the lower voice starts on A, goes to a half note on G, and then we have F sharp, because we're in a sharp, F sharp, E sharp, F sharp. Let's look at these strings. I bet you they're doing the same thing they were doing last time. B, A, B, A, B, A. So B, G, B flat, G, B flat. Same notes here. A, G, so there's sustaining here. A sharp, F sharp, same thing, same thing. So they're just playing the same notes, just rocking them. Pretty cool trick. Oh, we have a viola line here. So that is going to be E. So E above middle C. On beat 3 of this bar. So this note is actually going to have an E as well. And there's different ways you can do that. I probably would just keep it on the same voice here. But you could, if you wanted to, give it a different voice or even put it on a different line. So to do that, it doesn't really make much sense to have it in bass clef. So let's change the clef to treble clef. That's the great thing about 3-stave. You can do pretty much what fits your need. So that's an E there. And then it has a slight defalling line. And then we can see that melodic line in the viola. Look at how simple that is to read now compared to something daunting like a full score. So let's take this a bit further and check out a bigger part of the piece with more instruments involved. Okay, I found the spot on the score I want to start at. So we're going to try to do a reduction starting here. And while this looks pretty daunting with all these instruments and all the lines and notes, it's actually not too bad. And there are a lot of them are playing doublings, and you'll be able to see it quite easier on the 3-stave system. So let's start. I'll hit play. We're going to follow along from here. So let's use the same principles we were using before. Find the melody, write it down, and then fill in the accompaniment. So I definitely heard the melody and the strings, and here we can see we have octave doublings in violins 1 and 2. So we can start writing those in. So we have E flat, D, C, D. And to save some time, I've actually gone ahead and done this ahead of time, so we don't have to spend quite as much time looking through it all, but rest assured, it is the exact same process we did before. So here we have the line. We also have a chord. So we have this A flat, F and C. So this part here. So bass notes, ascending sequence. And then this would be the alternate clarinet line, I believe. Even the flutes are doing it too. Bum, 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 bum. And this is just playing the rhythm here. So the entire score can be compressed into just 3 staves, and it's much easier to see, much easier to read where the music's going and comprehend and hear and look and just see the overall picture better. So if we wanted to use this on our DAW, I think the easiest thing to do would just be to have the score here and then play it in. So using the piano as maybe our melody, we'll use a Rhodes as the mid voice and the harpsichord as the low voice. So let's just quickly do this. What's our tempo? A little fast. So we have, and make sure we put it in 3/4. So we'll change our meter. 3/4. Great. We'll have 1 bar of just to get ready here. I caught an error. The D should be D natural, so I'm just going to change that there. So now we can look at the harmony here. And maybe we'll add the harpsichord here for the final few notes. Change the color so they're a bit easier to read, and we can see how we can have a 3-stave system in our DAW. So I'm going to go ahead and do the final bit here. So there you go. There is our 3-stave system in our DAW, and we can easily isolate each aspect of this reduction, and it should sound more or less the same as Scriabin's score. I hope you were able to see the true potential of utilizing a 3-stave system for your own compositions. It really is one of the most useful tools in your compositional arsenal. Your assignment for this lesson is to start your own 3-stave project on either a DAW, digital score, or manuscript. Use the score for Scriabin's music that we used earlier, or find one of your favorite scores and practice reducing the score to 3 staves. Take some time to write down interesting things you notice regarding the structure and orchestration. There should be some unique surprises for almost every case.